Ever wondered what life was really like in ancient Egypt? It's not all pyramids and pharaohs, you know. There's a whole world of fascinating, strange, and downright brilliant stuff hiding just beneath the sand. So, grab your virtual explorer's hat, and let's journey back in time. 5,000 years, to the land of the Nile. First up, let's talk about something we all use every day. A calendar. That's right. The ancient Egyptians gave us the 365-day calendar. They were incredible astronomers and noticed that the star Sirius would appear right before the Nile River's annual flood, which was super important for their farming. They divided their year into 3 seasons of 4 months each. Akhet, the flooding season. Pere, the growing season. Pere, the growing season. And Shamu, the harvest season. They added 5 extra days at the end to party and celebrate the birthdays of their gods. So next time you check the date, give a little nod to the ancient Egyptians. Now, let's bust a huge myth. The people who built the pyramids were not slaves. We used to think that, but archaeological discoveries have completely changed our understanding. Excavations near the pyramids have found entire villages for the workers. They were skilled laborers, and their tombs show they were respected. They were paid in bread and beer, which was basically the currency of the day, and received proper medical care. We've even found skeletons of workers with healed broken bones, which shows they were well looked after. Building these massive structures was a national project, a source of pride, and a way to serve their god-king, the pharaoh. Speaking of pharaohs, let's talk about some of the more unusual ones. We all know Tutankhamun, but what about Hatshepsut? She was one of the most powerful female pharaohs, and she ruled for over 20 years. To solidify her claim to the throne, she often had herself depicted as a man in statues and carvings, complete with a fake beard. Then there was Akhenaten, who tried to completely change Egyptian religion. He wanted everyone to worship just one god, the sun Diskaten, instead of the hundreds of traditional gods. It was a radical move, and after he died, everyone pretty much went back to the old ways and tried to erase him from history. But what about the average person? What was their daily life like? Well, for starters, both men and women wore makeup. It wasn't just for looking good, though. The black coal eyeliner they famously wore was believed to have magical healing properties and helped protect their eyes from the harsh sun and desert flies. They made it from a mineral called galena. They also used green eyeshadow made from malachite. So, they were practical and stylish, and they loved their pets. Cats were especially sacred. They were associated with the goddess Bastet and were thought to bring good luck. Many families kept cats, and when a family cat died, the entire household would shave their eyebrows as a sign of mourning. Killing a cat, even by accident, was a serious crime that could be punished by death. They even mummified their cats and buried them in special cemeteries. Archaeologists have found millions of mummified cats. They also loved dogs, monkeys, and even crocodiles as pets. Let's talk about medicine. Egyptian doctors were way ahead of their time. They had specialists for different parts of the body, just like we do today: dentists, eye doctors, and even proctologists, who were called shepherds of the anus. No, I'm not kidding. They performed complex surgeries, set broken bones, and had a vast knowledge of herbal remedies. Some of their medical texts, like the Ebers Papyrus, list hundreds of treatments for everything from stomach aches to depression. Of course, their medicine was also mixed with a lot of magic and spells, but their practical skills were seriously impressive. And what about their writing system? Hieroglyphs. It's one of the most beautiful writing systems ever created. But it wasn't just for grand monuments. For everyday stuff like letters, receipts, and legal documents, they used a simpler, cursive script called hieratic, and later demotic. It took a long time to learn, so scribes were highly respected members of society. For centuries, no one could read hieroglyphs until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799. It had the same text written in 3 scripts: hieroglyphs, demotic, and Greek. This amazing stone was the key that finally unlocked the secrets of ancient Egypt. Let's dive into their beliefs about the afterlife. This was a huge part of their culture. They believed that when you died, your soul would embark on a dangerous journey through the underworld. To make it, you needed help. That's where the Book of the Dead comes in. It wasn't a single book, but a collection of spells and instructions written on a papyrus scroll, which was buried with the deceased. It was like a guidebook for the afterlife, helping you overcome monsters and pass divine judgments. The ultimate goal was to have your heart weighed against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice. If your heart was lighter than the feather, meaning you lived a good life, you'd get to live forever in a paradise called the Field of Reeds. If not, well, your heart got eaten by a terrifying monster named Amata, part crocodile, part leon, part hippo creature. No second chances. Mummification was essential for this journey. They believed your soul needed your body to return to in the afterlife. The process was complex and took about 70 days. First, they removed the internal organs like the brain, which they pulled out through the nose with a hook. Fun, right? The heart was usually left inside because they believed it was the center of intelligence and emotion. The other organs were preserved in special jars called canopic jars. Then, the body was covered in a type of salt called natron to dry it out completely. before being wrapped in hundreds of yards of linen. Images, amulets, and spells were placed between the layers for protection. It was an elaborate and expansive process, a true testament to how much they valued eternal life. But ancient Egypt wasn't just about death and the afterlife. They knew how to have fun. They loved music, festivals, and board games. One of the most popular games was called sonnet, which means passing. It was a bit like backgammon, played on a board with 30 squares, suggesting they believed they could play it in the afterlife, too. They also loved hunting, fishing, and throwing big parties with lots of food, music, and dancing. Finally, what happened to this incredible civilization? After about 3,000 years of glorious history, a series of invasions by the Persians, then the Greeks under Alexander the Great, and finally the Romans, weakened its power. The last pharaoh of Egypt was the famous Cleopatra VII. After her death, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire, and its ancient culture, religion, and language slowly faded away, buried under the sands of time. But the legacy of ancient Egypt is all around us, from our calendar and our early understanding of medicine to their breathtaking art and architecture that still inspires AW today. They were innovators, artists, and engineers of the highest order. Their world was a place of deep spirituality, incredible ingenuity, and a profound connection to the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. So the next time you see a picture of a pyramid, remember it's just the tip of a massive, incredible iceberg. There's so much more to discover about this amazing civilization. What's your favorite fact about ancient Egypt? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more adventures into history. See you next time.